Willie Valentin, are you doodling some notes in there? You got anything you would like to add?
He's
No,
drawing
I
an
take
album
a
cover.
lot of notes. No, I'm listening right now at this point, But I'm just jotting down things for if, depending how long this conversation is for. But I'm just thinking about formulas and what we think is the right formula for a collaboration, a duet, or a feature. So I was just jotting down some ideas, and then I was thinking about songs, right? And I looked at the list that you put up, a couple of weeks ago, and I said, okay, which ones, what category do they fall in? So I was just writing stuff like that. I don't know if we're ready for that kind of conversation,
Yeah,
but
we could talk about that because out of the list of the collaborations that I posted on my social media page, there's about 50 collaborations, but I will say that at least 10 of them or 15 of them were never released. And they were never released. And the song that got the most hate from the collaborations list that I put on social media was the TKA featuring Cynthia and Judy Torres, Don't Call It Love, produced by Tony Moran and a collaboration with Andy Panda. I had no idea how much hate this song got for no reason at all, to the point where they scrapped even releasing it, for digital or consumption, because of the fact that it's just people wanted to tear it apart. And it was a great collaboration. It was a great song. I loved it. Cynthia and Kay going back and forth, and in the middle, Judy Torres comes in and she's trying to play the psychologist or the person trying to keep them together or talk about the wrongs. Great collaboration, but and I see that happening recently with the Sapphire and Tony Moran. What a great record! But I think the more complicated the lyrics are, the less people want to listen to it. Because I mean,
Welcome to my world.
yeah, Sapphire put the word retrograde in there, right? And what a way that she put that word retrograde in there. Um, and it's an amazing transition and beautiful word. And this is a combination of Sapphire and Tony Moran that hasn't happened since 1991 on the Same Sun, Same Sky CD that Tony Moran put out. Something's never changed. But here we are in 2024, and people are celebrating things that are not even real in our genre, right? Teddy Swims, freestyle remix. We'll talk about that briefly. But
can you
but
send it to me? I haven't heard it yet. Can you send it to me?
but again, these collaborations. I just feel like people are resenting collaborators for some reason, especially when they come from the first generation of this genre of music. It's like they have this resentment towards the legends, where the George Lamont "I Believe in Love," even though it was a great remake and it had that great video and it had one of my favorite actresses in there, Amanda Panda, right, from Second Generation, but people were trying to find ways not to support it, right? And even though now people are catching up to songs like that, right? Somebody today, I put the "Always Remember" Brenda K. Starr and K7 record, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is brand new," right? But they want to go on social media and be like, "Freestyle is back, Teddy Swims," and it's like, you guys are missing so many great records and so many great collaborations because you're choosing to be resentful towards the community that you fell in love with this community in the first place, right? And you fell in love with this genre because of a Sapphire, because of a Tony Moran, because of a TKA, because of a Cynthia, and so now and a George Lamont. So now you resent them because they're putting out new music. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I see that resentment all the time. And I got so many. There was some resentment. 2019, All Hooked Up was the number one record of 2019. Jenny Renee. Jenny Renee, after 7 months of this record spinning hard, she featured Cynthia Figueroa. Now, Willie, before I continue with my comment, that was something that they cleared, correct? They
Yeah,
cleared the finished version of it.
yeah.
People were. This is why people were upset, and and I got this comment. People were upset because they felt that Cynthia Figueroa outsang Jenny Renee in the record. And I'm just sitting there like, how? But they and these are the reasons people use not to support records. She outsang Jenny Renee in the record, so that's why they didn't want to support that version. And I'm just sitting here like, that makes no sense.
Cynthia Figueroa performed on that song the same way she performs on all her songs.
Right.
So, what do you want Cynthia to change her style? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Crazy.
do a collaboration with a power vocalist and not want them to be that. That's what I went to them for.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna
I
go to them
was
and say,
waiting for
could you
Cynthia
water
to do
yourself
what she
down?
did on that record.
Can you water yourself down just a little bit? Like,
Well,
Yeah. So again, we're talking about these collaborations, the expectations, but I think that the freestyle community itself and the fans, they have these expectations that can never be met. For them to be like freestyle is back with Teddy Swims, and Teddy Swims not even know about the record being remixed by a DJ, from Brazil, and now people are on social media celebrating this record.
yeah.
It's kind of a disrespect. I want to get your thoughts.
So let me just jump in a little bit. I agree and disagree. The reason I agree is because I see a lot of that. We've all put out a lot of records out, and we're like, wait a minute, freestyle hasn't gone anywhere. But if you think about, we think about the small community of freestyle. Freestyle is a lot bigger than we actually know, right? When I see that remix with Teddy Swims, and I go to TikTok, and you can see video after video. These are not regular freestyle fans. I go into their pages. They don't know me. I don't know them. And then I'm like, wow, these are people that are listening to Teddy Swim. So when they hear a remix, like, oh my God, I remember freestyle. So they don't follow the new stuff. So to them, it's like, it's back because they're not the hardcore freestyle fans. So I'm okay with them saying that it's back because they don't know any better. But I know a lot of the artists, I'm like, not upset, but they're like, wait a minute, it hasn't left. And for the hardcore fan base, they agree with that. Like, no, it's been around. I've been supporting everybody. But there are thousands of other people that said, oh, it died in the early 90s. There's new stuff because they transitioned to something else, into pop or mainstream or hip hop, whatever the case is. And like I saw one video, one lady, I saw her do a TikTok to the original record. Then I saw videos later, she did it to the remix, and she goes, you got to do this. She's like begging for him to put this out because she remembers freestyle, but she doesn't know about every freestyle. So
I want to make it clear that I love the collaboration. I like the collaboration between the fan and TikTok and making this what it is. And you can see there's a video somewhere of Stevie B talking to him about it or threatening him because he's poking him. But but what I will say is this: I was offended by the people in New England who sent me the video and said freestyle is back, and we have a show that is 6 hours every week that they listen to, right? And they've heard every brand new record since the inception of freestyle, since 1988, and they want to say that freestyle is back, and because they were stuck in a time period where they enjoyed Sam Savone, Open Your Eyes, and because they remember that beat, and now they have this guy who is the new Sam Smith or Lady Gaga of 2024, and now his unique voice is mixed with a freestyle record. Now this bonding of these two records, that's what makes this special, right? But Teddy Swims is not going to perform this record. Teddy Swims is not going to release this record because his company, right? And don't we wish that he would be able to, right? His company's not going to allow that because there's no money in that remix, right? First of all, they got to master it. They got to have a good beginning and good end. For the people that listen to the entire version, it kind of falls apart in the end, and in the beginning, it's a little bit to be desired for. They're only getting that meat.
They got
Of
the
the
highlight
record,
of it. Yeah.
the highlight of it, right? So, and then the synth and the use on that, it was like so Brazil. But the bottom line is that I was offended by the fact that people were making it appear as if you were trying to hate on something, and they use that word very loosely, or that somebody was upset because they didn't think of it. That's not the case. Is the fact that you're saying freestyle is back when it never went anywhere. It's always been here. And so, and the people that know better were the ones that were egging it on, right? Saying that people were hating. It wasn't the casual fan or the casual fan from back in the 90s. It was our people, the ones that are in the internet freestyle community, egging it on and making it appear as we were jealous of this remix that is never going to be performed anywhere. And so that was my issue with it. And so when you have people now saying, "Oh my God, Brenda K. Starr has a brand new record," well, we go back to that fan that never continued to follow the music, never continued to um, Google, because there's Google, what their favorite artist, quote unquote, was releasing, because they didn't follow these people. They just let it go. And so instead of saying freestyle is back, how about Google is back and start Googling some of these songs that you missed in the last 25 years?
I was not offended by the casual, person who was getting reintroduced. That's okay. I was, because that's always good for the genre. What offended me was the people that we know who support what we do, who rallied behind this with a fire, that I found to be slightly offensive. Because if they had given us half of that same type of fever, then we can say, then what could that have led to? What kind of TikTok movement could that have made for any one of us who made any decent music in the past 15 years? Like, that was my problem with it. Because when they were like, I would have expected to see people like us who would say, damn, you think that's hot? You should check out this. They've been doing, blah, blah, blah. I expected to see a little bit more than that, but instead I saw all these people, because unfortunately, they're on our Facebook, they're on our Instagram, they're on our TikTok. I saw them sharing this thing and doing videos to it. And I'm going, if you guys gave us half of that. And so then, if you look at it from the other side where it's like, okay, you say you like what we do, but did you really? I mean, it just makes you feel that way a little bit. And I'm not saying that was their intention. And that's when I did the video I did when I compared it to like when, you're cooking for your friends and you're doing this and that. And then they turn around and go and rave about, a frozen dinner that somebody else served them. It's like, what? Like, it's just a little bit, disrespectful. So I painted a picture that way. And I'm not mad at anyone for liking it. Like I said, I heard it and I liked it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the way that it was, just promoted so heavily by people who profess to love what we're doing out here. And I'm like, you rode that hard for a stranger, that I'm using this quote again where I say, Teddy Swims is not going to Teddy Swims does not need freestyle to open any doors for him. And it's highly unlikely he's going to open any doors for freestyle. And that's why I was, affected by it.
My favorite quote was like, is CPR, is this going to be on your countdown? I'm like, no.
I saw that.
It's not a real release, and then when people realized that it wasn't a real release, they were like, oh, this is not real. This is a DJ made a remix, which, by the way, the reason why music is where it is, hip hop, freestyle, whatever, is because of the DJ. So I commend that DJ for putting this together. It's something to listen to. And it's not the first one. There's been tons. There's been Rolling in the Deep by Adele. That was one that was very popular.
Yeah,
Lady Gaga. Every Lady Gaga record was remixed into freestyle. Sam Smith had some. Any popular artist has had their songs remixed. They even remixed classic songs like Europe, The Final Countdown, right? But one thing that I will say about all the shares and everything that has happened in the last few weeks with this Teddy Swims freestyle remix or mashup, not one sale was made from that mashup, that remix. Nobody spent $1 on it. They all got it for free. And then the
It was
worst
the
part,
number one on iTunes?
absolutely not. And so the worst part was the replicas, the horrible copycat variant renditions. It was overwhelming. So after a week, that became the mindful demure of that week. You know what I mean? Like, we were tired of hearing it. You know what I mean? We were tired of hearing the Chase Bank glitch, right? It's it happened for that week. Now, I see one Teddy Swims video maybe a day. I don't see, 3 dozen. On the collaboration front and on duets and features, of recent memory, which is your favorite feature, Willie Valentin, that you've heard of recent memory?
Wow. Features. Okay. I really liked the Sammy Zone running with K7, George Lamont, Seabank. I think that was a great feature. I think that's the feature, right? It's a feature and collaboration, so it's a hybrid because there's a lot of people collaborating on this record, and also Carlos Berrios. Even though he's the producer, but it's Carlos Berrios featuring, So for me, that's like the biggest collaboration feature. When I think about duets, or do you want to just stay on features?
No, go for it. Go for it.
The duets are a little tougher because a lot of good duets that have come out. It's when do we say recent? We say like last 10 years because
Yeah. So we're putting together a list of the collaborations, duets, and team ups of the last 10 years. I think I was going to expand it to 20 because I remember Julio Mena and Jill Terrell, Runaway, that being a big
great
record. And so I wanted to do a top 40 countdown of the collaborations of the last 20 years. I'm still working on it because I know that I'm missing some. I remember Artie and Legit featuring Angel Mena. But go ahead, Willie Valentin.
Well, you're addressing by my whole name to Willie Valentine. Yes, Jose
You're in trouble.
I think for me, the GA with Cynthia, that was a big record. I know originally it was a GA record, and then it turned into a collaboration, but it also turned into a duet. So that falls into multiple categories, And I think about the formula to that song. It was the right song to do it with, right? Great production, great melody, great lyrics, and going back to my original, can it be performed? Yeah, they've done it. So it hits on all those elements, right? And you think about it. Was it the right song for George? Yes. Was it the right song for Cynthia? Yes. Because sometimes some duets are cool, and you're like, they should have maybe had this person sing it with George, but it was right for Cynthia, the right record for Cynthia, right record for George. That's like, to me, it was like a perfect. It hit on so many levels that I think that was like, for me, the top duet.
I can actually put a medley of the amount of times that I performed that song with Cynthia the past almost 5 years, and the reaction is the same from the first time I performed it with her back in 2020, right after I got out of the hospital. I was invited to perform at an event in Asbury Park, and Cynthia loved the song so much, and she wanted to support it so much that I even performed it in New Jersey at a theater, and they told her you only have time for one song, so everyone thought that she was gonna do Dream Boy, Dream Girl. She goes, I'm not doing Dream Boy, Dream Girl. I'm gonna do You Should Have Told Me. That's how much she wanted to perform and support the song. And yeah, so yeah.
It's dope.
Jenaro, do you have any collaborations that are your favorite of recent memory?
Honestly, there's so many that I like so many of them that I'm kind of like, it's hard to really nail it down. I love the running record that Willie talked about. I thought I was like, it's a great project. Like I said, all the things that go into making that what it is so dope. You Should Have Told Me it was my favorite song at that time period. It was my favorite song. Like I probably out of all of George's songs besides Alone, it's the one that I find myself singing the most. So it's like those are like my favorite songs. But You Should Have Told Me is like, it's just like, it's the right song, the right time, the right people, like the formula, it lightning struck the way that it was supposed to. And shameless plug, I love Falling with me and Louis Marte, and I think I love that so much because of the experience. Because I was in a group for so long, and it's the first time that I got to go into the studio and collaborate and sit down with somebody like myself and be like, oh, this is cool, and like that. So the experience into making that record, outside of it, came out very good in my opinion. That was the thing, and we got to perform it, Willie. We did once, but we got to perform it once. But that was that's one of my favorite, because the experience that went into making it. I mean, but I can go on and on. There's so many of them that I like. The Brenda K. Starr and K7 record, I like that one. I like, there's too many. George and 3 to the Max is like, it's too many. Of course, I mean, the collaboration of collaborations is Juliana Lee and Lily Rose. I mean, that one itself, like this,
that went to my number one.
Yeah, I can name
very hard to
so many, like, and that's what I'm saying. Why I'm so passionate about that thing, where I'm like, we have so much good here, and to watch the Teddy Swims thing become this, this whirlwind is just like, man, it's like, it just affected me.
Just getting back to that, we got to remember that Teddy Swims record was already a huge record.
Right.
I heard it it was out before I even heard it. I heard it in June. Michael Anthony called me. He says, we got to redo this record in freestyle. It has a freestyle melody. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the build up. Oh, wow. This does have a lot of freestyle elements. But I'm like, I'm not going to redo this record. We were thinking about going to George Lamont with it. We're like, he was like, because there's some notes that really go up there. I know he sounds like this, but it goes up, and I'm like, But so when I know we just finished talking about this whole Teddy Swims song, but that song was already a big record, so people already were behind it. So when they heard this mix, they pushed it more. But and this is not because I'm part of this record, but the Juliana and Lily Rose record had a lot of momentum just like that, which I haven't seen in a long time also. And what shocked me is when oh my God, I'm bad with names. Anthony
Acosta.
I'm sorry, Anthony. When he put the video out, it just blew up. He fell asleep and sent me a text. He sent me a link. I'm like, what the hell? It was at 200,000 within hours. The next day it was 500,000. I'm like, what the hell? And all of a sudden I started seeing everyone like sharing that video. And it came from another person that originally recorded. His name is Jose Cartagena from Connecticut. And everybody shared it on Facebook. And I saw thousands and thousands of impressions there. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And when right now we're like almost 840,000 views on that one video. Another one has 530,000 views. Others have 200,000. And the support was there. But how do we emulate that with the rest of the artists that have these good records? Their thing is they're young, right? So that's like, oh, wow, you don't see this often. It was a good record. I mean, it is a good record. It's a good record. They're young. They got a good stage show. They can sing, But then, again, George puts out great records. Jenaro puts out great records. Jenny Renee puts out great records. There's a lot of great records out there. How do we emulate that? Asia just put out, Now and Forever again. And she put out 3 or 4 records this year that all doing Deneen. And they get to a certain success that it's good, but how do we get it above? Like you get the fans sharing as much as, the girls got. Only that's how we emulate it.
Yes.
And, granted, when I checked the numbers for demographics, they got the support of the 15 to 27, which we don't get a lot of. When I look at, we're getting the 35 plus. They got that also, but to get that younger support, I think is what makes a difference. But
yes,
it doesn't matter how old we are. If the record is a good record, it'll be liked by any generation. So how do we get records to do that? That's what we got to emulate again. We don't have to copy a record, but how do we emulate that promotion and create that buzz to get these records to get to that same plateau? Like that's my thing.
I think the girls are doing, and you're guiding them so well. They're keeping themselves relevant. You're putting them in the pastels and the calandras, and you're giving them that exposure. And the fact that they're so young and that they can sing, I think that's what's gravitating a lot of people to them. You know what I'm saying? So keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? I always say, because I put in so much legwork. Hence why CPR is the executive producer of Anthology. All those songs on that album is because I performed them only in Springfield for like a few years, like for 6 years straight. So I don't perform alone. People like alone. You know why? Because the only place I performed it was in Springfield. Summer Love, Connecticut, all those songs. So I said, you know what, CPR, I owe that all album to you because of you. Since 2013, I was in Springfield, and we were just hammering all these songs to everybody. And then I became like a household name to the point that now what? When CPR one day in the show said GA, now people when they see me they call me GA. You know what I mean? So it's just like the legwork's got to be there, and the girls are doing that. And I say that to everybody: put in the legwork, and you're gonna see that opportunities and doors are gonna start opening for you. And I think I'm at that point because even today, a few minutes ago, I just got booked for February of last year. So now I got a couple of shows every month: November, December, January, the cruise, and then February I'm already. So I'm working. So that's what's got to happen. You got to put in the work. Be patient. Don't get frustrated and go online and wasting your energy complaining about it. Go into
Yep.
the studio and do that, and that's it. Things will happen. But the girls are right now the prime example of what you need to do in order for people to start, noticing our music.
And what I've seen is the expectations being explained to them, because I've seen Willie explain the expectations. I've seen that they're both level-headed, Lily Rose and Juliana Lee. They have great timing when it comes to interviews. I love interviewing both of them. I've done it a couple times. Lily Rose is meant to have her own podcast one day. Juliana Lee, went to
Prodigy, that girl.
Juliana Lee went to the archives of freestyle and started studying without being asked. And these are the things that is important. You have these two 16-year-old young ladies looking for the history of our genre and listening to the catalog. They never said, freestyle is back or freestyle left or whatever terminology people want to use. They went and Googled freestyle and freestyle songs. They went on YouTube. They borrowed compilations. And I think that some of the things that we need to really concentrate on is teaching folks about the genre, making sure that they have access to quality music, making sure that when you're going to do a collaboration that you curtail those expectations, and for us to make better decisions on who we collaborate with, because there are so many records that are not released or they're released and pulled the next day. If you look at the 418 freestyle catalog, there's been a few collaborations, duets, and other projects that were put out for one day and then taken out. And for me, that's frustrating because if you pre-order something or you paid for something and then you don't get to download it and then it disappears, you don't own it anymore and you can't buy it anywhere because it's gone. And something that has happened in the last few years is that because we haven't had these conversations and talk about the expectations moving forward, a lot of these collaborations have fallen to the wayside, and a lot of these records were never released or were never put out there for consumption. And then, the wars start on social media, which we're not going to get into, but there's a few records that I know that should have been released but weren't. And there were great collaborations. There was a lot of time put in. I know that we talked about Don't Call It Love, TKA, Cynthia, and Judy Torres, but there was a whole album in the works. There's songs that are recorded that would never see the light of day, or no one has any intention of releasing, that were recorded already, and now they're sitting on a hard drive somewhere, never to be heard, because of the way that we are in the community and the way that the expectations are not curtailed. And I'm not sure what the fans want anymore. Me being here every week, me being here, putting out content that's of quality, I'm not sure what the fans want anymore, because they don't want to open up their pocketbooks to buy a song for $1. They don't support new music the way that they should. And they're missing out on a lot of great music. So, for me, seeing such a historic record like the Niaja 40th I'm sorry, 35th anniversary. It's probably 40 by now, but the 35th anniversary of Niasia's Now and Forever with One Touch, it has All In, which is Willie Valentin, the producer, the original producer of the record. It has Michael Anthony Berteau, who's the writer of the record, and then the vocalist Niasia, right? Now in 2024, it has a generational situation there because not only is her brothers on the record now, but Willie Valentin has his wife and daughter on the record. And then his daughter has her best friend on there as well. And so that's the type of generational support that we should be getting for this record because we're experiencing it again, brand new all over again in 2024. We talk about the Deneen and George Lamond when you talk. What a record that lasted a year and a half. With the different mixes, remixes, and then George Lamond jumping onto it. It reminded me of the collaboration between George Lamond and George Anthony. When it comes to collaborations, duets, team ups, what are your final thoughts? And I'll start with George Anthony.
I mean, I've done enough collaborations that I think it has to happen naturally. I've never said, okay, I got to do a collab like next month. I mean, like it's happened like organically. Like it just like, not that it's falling on my lap. It's more like, wow, I looking back, I'm like, wow, I have done a lot from the Nora Evelle, Secret Admirer. I'm like, sometimes I forget the amount of songs that I've been on. You Are with Julio Mena, anything with a New York thing, right? With Sammy Zone and Naija and all that stuff. But I never expected to do a song with somebody, and when they have a show, I expected to be booked on that show. I've never expected that because that's just like setting yourself up to be frustrated because that doesn't automatically put you on the same bill with them, right? So I've collabed because I love the song and I wanted to collab with this certain artist, and and that's about it. I also say this the same way that as easy as it was for us to put out the song, very easy for us to pull down the song if you're not happy with the collab after we did it. And I had that conversation with an artist, that I've done a collab with. I said, listen, if you feel that after the fact, that after we had this conversation, that we were all excited about this, putting this out. If you feel, the opposite, just pull it down, take it down. You know what I'm saying? And I keep it as simple as that because I don't want a song to be out there where it's not like we gotta both be invested in the project and we gotta both be happy and satisfied with what we did. So as easy as it was for us to put it up, we can put it down and there'll be no hard feelings. Good luck in your career, and then that's it. As long as we don't disrespect each other, right? So, again, those are just my thoughts when it comes to collabing with people, and that's it. Jenaro, Willie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I'm open to collaborate with anybody, but to your point, it has to organically feel right, or I have to say, what's the challenge here, right? Because if I can't see it automatically in the onset, I'm like, okay, well, how does this challenge me as an artist? What is this going to bring? What is this going to bring out of me? What might I bring out of them? You know what I mean? Those are the things that goes into my mind when I select, doing collaborations. I tell you, like, because years ago I had the same, conversation with Sanaya and with Hito, because they would just jump on anybody's record. And I used to be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, don't do that, And I know I got labeled like if I'm coming from a bad place, but it's like, no, because everything is not, you can't elevate everything just because you're on it. Some things are just not good. You know what I'm saying? And just because you're on it, it's not going to make it good. I know they had altruistic intentions because, hey, we're good at writing, we're good at singing, or we're going to harmonize, we're going to do this. And I'm like, don't put your voice on that because it might not be a good look. And, by the grace of God, a lot of those songs didn't go, to where they became, I guess you want to say, a stain on the record or whatever the case may be. But I've always been a little bit more, I guess, selective and also shocked because I think people, when they want to do collaborations, lots of times the first thing they go for is like, okay, they're looking for a sound, they're looking for this, and like so. And my choices has always been like, even when I did Drunk and I Miss You, there's so many great vocalists, female vocalists that I know that I have a relationship with. But all of those voices to me would have taken the song to a place that I necessarily didn't want to take it to, because I needed a vulnerability, I guess, that was supposed to be there. And I'm like, if I get some of these confident, belting ladies that I know, I'm like, it might not work. And then if I'm sitting there trying to, tune them down or do this and that, it might become a problem where I'm not letting them be them. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so,
When you
like
trying to tell
you
me how
said,
to sing.
yeah, and that's not it. And I mean, and there's a person who I'm really close with that I've never done a collaboration with, and it's because, and I've told them the reason we've never done a collaboration is because the song has to be right. And I'm like, there's a specific type of song that I think that we could do. We can't do just anything. And and I know they felt kind of way because I've done collaborations with other people, and they think like I don't want to collaborate with them. And it's like, no, 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 no. It just has to be the right thing for us, because it can't be this, because I don't want it to go to the wayside. I want, if we do something, I want it to mean something. I want it to be, to everybody's point here, I want it to be something that's going to get recognition. I don't want to just collaborate with you and then it just goes in the pile of songs that we've done. I wanted to have, to reach people. I wanted to people to feel what I felt when I thought about writing this song or remaking this song. And it's a process, but I mean, I think we all are doing our parts at it, where we have partnered up with people, I think, that either challenge us or bring out the best in us to do things. And long as we manage those expectations, we keep everything in play the way it's supposed to be. We're not coming from an egomaniacal place or selfish place of thinking, hey, I did a song with so and so, so now that means I'm going to go and perform everywhere they perform and stuff. Long as your mind isn't like that, to me, it's about the music first and foremost. Like I said, if me and Willie, we've been on this road together for over 30 years, and it's like we've not done a song together, and it's like I don't feel like, oh, he's never done a song. It's like, no, like I want, when we get together, I know something special is going to come out of it. I know the timing is going to be what it is, and like I look forward to when we get together, what comes out of it. Hey, and if what comes out of it is not something that needs to be heard, then it doesn't. But I'm happy for the experience, because that's why we do this. This is why we became artists in the first place. And I don't think a lot of people, they're not in it for the artistry. They're in it for something else. And I think we all became artists first, and the rewards from being an artist came by way of that, not the other way around.
Willie, any final thoughts on collaborations, features, duets, and team ups?
Well, we did one. We did Scars together. That was the
That
beginning.
is. I meant like us getting together and
Fresh,
creating
I
something.
know.
The Scars is the remake, so I still feel like I haven't put my Jenaro stamp, on something.
I hear you. I mean, I would say this on the phone. I am not open to do collaborations with anybody. Definitely not. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of things that could go wrong, things that can go right. So you got to have a good comfort level with that person.
Yes.
You got to be able to trust them. We've all been through something that we're like, yeah, I regret doing this record with this person or this company or the producer or this vocal. Just that's the reality of it. We all have regrets.
Yes.
So I'm at that point that it has to, again, going back to that formula, is it the right song for me? Is it the right song for that person I'm collaborating with? It is, if I don't produce everything, people look at me as producer first. That was never my intention. That's just what I fell into. But someone else can produce it, and I'm fine with that, but it has to be the right production, right? Mm-hmm. Not saying I'm going to critique it, but we're going to be like, oh, wow. I like to run songs by George or by you, CPR, and just show it, say, hey, what do you guys think about this? It's cool. It's a little weak here. Okay, let's go fix it. Let's go tighten it up so it sounds like, wow, that's a hit. So the formula has to be the melody of the song. I'm not a big lyric guy, but I'm a big melody guy.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, the lyrics have to make sense, but I'm more focused on the melody than the lyrics second for me. And And then vocally, we all have friends that don't sing well, or think they can sing and they can't. And are we gonna say yes? It's uncomfortable. That's why I put that message out. I'm not willing to collaborate with everyone, so that way they don't get their feelings hurt. Because sometimes you have to give them the harsh reality, like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. Why? It's tough because they're your friends, but if they're not, and never to bring anybody down, but if it's not the right collaboration, I don't want to hurt my career. I'll help them, and I've done records with people who were not the greatest vocalists. I know that, but I'm at a point that it has to make sense. When we put this record out, I'm not the greatest vocalist. I can sing, but I'm not a vocalist. Am I gonna sound good on this record? When I did, going back to After All, that was a record for my album. When Cynthia did her parts, I'm like, I wanted to punch myself in the face. I'm like, no, I can't do this record. You sound like a vocalist, and I sound like, like, no, I don't want that. So she's the one who motivated. You can do it. You can do it. You sound good. And she kept on. I recorded like 5 times till I felt like, oh wow, now it sounds like a record that I'm not saying as good, but at least I could hold my own. That the record doesn't sound one-sided. So I got to think about all that. And again, if anyone who's listening, I don't want people to think, oh, well, is stuck up or who do you think he is? It's not about that. It just has to make sense across the board. Absolutely. I am not in a part of my life that I want to have beef with anybody because, oh, you put more of your vocals on it than me. You featured yourself more. I don't want that. I'm just making examples. But, again, the trust, I got to feel comfortable with that artist. We both got to sound good. The song has to be the right song for both of us. Production has to be right, all the elements. So would I do it? Of course. But again, just going back to the beginning, it just has to make sense.
Yeah, I think that I look back at CPR's Clubhouse Freestyle Madness, right, and gathering the troops because Willie and I had a conversation and we came to an understanding of what needed to be done to record everyone and everything that had to be done before we went to New York to record in that one bedroom where we record all the records, right? And it was great, man. The collaboration, I remember, was awesome. The expectations were a little bit out there, right? Because you start dreaming about what could happen in the future and, how many shows you're going to be able to do and how you're going to conquer the world, right? And that didn't work out for CPR's Clubhouse, the record label, right? And many people were hurt or upset or left because even though I try to be realistic with the expectations, your brain, your mind, it wonders at what could have happened and what it could be. And then it becomes a festering situation where one artist is not happy because the producers paying more attention to their label and their female artists on there. And it just becomes toxic, right? And so when I look back at my experience with CPR's Clubhouse, it was great for 1 year and it was a pain in the ass for 5, right? And it's because we were just trying to get back to that 1 year where everything was perfect, right? And sometimes in this genre, collaborations are only meant to last a short period of time. They're not meant to happen forever. Or you could be like Willie Valentin, Naeja, and Michael Anthony Berteau and get back together 35 years later. It does have to be timing and the right thing. But the main point that I want to make is that we all have dreams. We all have wishes of where we should be or where we think we should be. But reality is that, without putting in the work, without putting in the miles, without putting in the writing, without putting in the vocals, without collaborating with the correct people, without choosing the right people for your team, you're not going to get to where you need to be. The most important thing that I will say is the thing that CPR's Clubhouse lacked was patience. I remember Release Me, we put it on a cassette and we gave them away for free. And I got a call from Willie and he's like, why would you give it away for free when the CD is not out yet, it's not pressed? Why would you give it away just like that? Now people are going to replicate it and give it out, right? And fortunately for us, whatever they pressed, they sold. But the lack of knowledge of the music business, and separating friendship and business, and separating personal relationships with business, and doing things that are going to nurture your brand and the things that you're trying to aspire to. Those are some of the things that we need more now than ever. And if we don't have that, if we don't have that type of collaboration, patience, we're never going to get to where we need to be, because we are always thinking that we should be where the other person is, the person that we think is trying to stop us, with this force that they have from us getting to that goal, because they're stopping us, even though those are the same people that were helping us, a year ago or last week or whatever the case may be. We truly need, as a community, to get together and be realistic and set goals and conquer those goals, and then set other goals, and then just keep it moving in that manner. Because this destructive thing that we're doing on social media, where we collaborate with someone, and then 3 months later we're shitting on the person we collaborated with, that's not working. It hasn't worked for us at all. And yeah, man, we may have our reasons, but when it comes to CPR's Clubhouse Freestyle Madness, I chose my friendship with Willie Valentin, and I chose not to do business with him anymore because of my lack of knowledge, not because anything that he did. Right? I wasn't prepared for that role. I'm prepared for the radio role. I wasn't prepared for the label role. So I can't blame Willie for what happened with Freestyle Madness and CPR's Clubhouse, the label. I can only blame me. I got to take responsibility for that. And the more that people take responsibility for their shortcomings, the better this genre will be. The more understanding that we can be, right? And most importantly, if you take anything from this conversation, communication is important. Communication is important. You need to communicate. If you're going to collaborate with someone, you got to communicate. You got to talk about what you want, what you think is going to happen, so you understand, yeah, that's going to happen. No, that's not going to happen. It was only when I had the opportunity, and I still remember every conversation I had with Willie, where he told me this is how this works, and he taught me, you know. And in the end, again, I chose our friendship, our brotherhood, other than doing business together. And I think I made out, And maybe some people out there feel different about their collaborations and friendships, but again, you have to curtail your expectations, and you have to communicate. And without that, you're never going to get to where you need to be. And if you're going to communicate with the right people, the people that actually are the people that you need to speak to. Don't communicate to others, so then others can create narratives and then post them on social media as fact, right? It sucks. I have to hear from third parties about how people feel about records. And I hate it because I feel so differently about these records. I love the collaboration between Jenny Renee and Cynthia Figueroa, all hooked up. I love that George Lamont, George Anthony, now that it's over, especially when their voices collide in the middle of that, now that it's over, and it sounds great. I play that part all the time. It's a 3-second part, but they sound great together. I love collaborations. Drunken I Miss You, After All, even though I forgot it on my list. Watching Willie sing with his wife for their anniversary, that song, amazing to me. And so I just want more collaboration. So when we hear songs like some of the songs on the list that I put out on social media, that we can keep those songs forever out there for people to enjoy for future to come. And what we have now is a bunch of people that collaborate and then destroy each other and then destroy the song. And there's not a fan out there that's going to get behind us when we do that. There's not one.
No, amen to that. Accountability is very important. CPR, you hit the nail right on the head, and I think once people start doing that, they'll start, becoming better in handling in situations and communication too. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you have something on your mind and you're not communicating it, especially directly with the person that you have this, the problem with, or whatever the case, that a lot of things can happen. A lot of things get lost in translation. So those two things, accountability and communication, is crucial. And then and just, as far as collabing, man, and Willie said something about regret. I don't I don't regret anything either. But there are some things that you tend to say like, why did I do that with this person? You know what I'm saying? And without mentioning any names, I'm glad that I've never performed this song with this person I collab with. You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, I usually don't regret stuff, but there are, some things that you have to regret. It's normal. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think I put up a post a few months ago saying how collaboration is so important in anyone's career. You know why? Because I kind of like took a page out of Bad Bunny's book, and I know he's not part of the freestyle genre. He's part of something bigger. But Bad Bunny collaborated with so many people, like with like 20 somewhat artists. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you know what? That's probably what's helping catapulting him in all these places. You know what I'm saying? So I thought the same thing. I said, let me collab. Maybe we can just catapult each other and somebody will listen, or somebody who likes the person I collab with will pay attention to her. Like, I think it's like hitting two birds with one stone in one project. Maybe I will attract somebody, or maybe you will, and then, we can both benefit from it. So
I can't wait till we change your name to GAB. God Bunny.
Oh my God. Well, I'm thinking about a GA Friends concert, and I have a friend that has a beautiful spot here in the Bronx, and I'm thinking about a GA with Friends event, and of course Jenaro, Willie, and everyone I've collabed with. If I can make that happen, I would love to, because it's just I have a catalog of duets that people, I guess will like to see me perform. You know what I'm saying? All in one night. Imagine me with George Lamont, Cynthia, Nora Vel, Three to the Max, Jay Mazur, Suave, Julio Mena, Cynthia Figueroa, Sammy Zone. I think that'll be a dope night. GA and Friends. I don't know. I'll think about it. I always ask Willie, because I am team artistic. So I always, just like he sends me songs, I sometimes set him up. Yo, Will, what do you think? So we'll see what happens.
I think that's dope. It's just like what Will was saying about the on Back to the Future, because not to do a shameless plug, what we did years ago in Roosevelt's, we did it was a Broken Hearts Club. We did a Valentine's thing, and we sort of did the same thing where it was like I wrote a storyline around all the songs between my Pain songs, Eric Christian, the Unbroken stuff. Like, we did all this stuff where we rotated. Like, we danced for when the girls were doing their stuff, and then like we did, and they did backgrounds for us, and we did it, and it was like this dope thing. So I mean, I love stuff like that, and I think something like that is just great. And I don't think us as a genre, I don't think we do enough things like that where we make what we do that much more interesting, just from the visual perspective. Because I mean this 1,000%. Steve O'Neill would tell you. He said, I never saw people not want to leave the stage to go to the bathroom. He was like, they didn't want to walk away because they thought they were going to miss something, because we had this whole storyline like intertwined with like the songs, and I had like this narration. It was dope. But anyway,
that's so important. And before I forget, I know this was like early on in this conversation. I'm glad that CPR cleared something up, because I always thought that it said in the song with Tony Moran and Sapphire, I thought it said Gatorade, and it's retrograde. Thank you, CPR.
Willie, Valentin, Jenaro, George Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Willie, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
I do. The only final thought, like, if George putting that show together, George, you need to come to the studio this weekend so we can record a song. We haven't collabed yet, so
we did. I love you.
No, I'm saying we need to record a song.
Like
okay, we'll do it. People are asking. We just got to make it happen, and even Jenaro can write it. Whatever we need to do.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna have Jenaro, Willie, Valentin, and George Anthony on one record. It's gonna be Man Meat. It's going to be called the Meat Market, featuring George Anthony, Jenaro, and Willie Valentin. Yeah. Anyway, listen, guys, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, as CPR saying goodbye. And remember, it's not who you love, it's how. And of course, we'll talk to you soon.